Alrighty, well, I just thought I'd better drop in and say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year from me and Black Kitty. I decided it was a good idea to take a bit of a break from YouTube and, you know, try and get on with doing things that are constructive. And yeah, I made the right choice. Yeah, I haven't really been watching anybody, but I have only recently really gone through some emails and found out a few bits and pieces, and found out that some things haven't changed a great deal for some people. For me, a few things have happened. There's we had a fucking major setback in June. Yeah, I might talk about that some other time, but you may notice a new front door, and that's part of the story. So I've sort of been working up in the capital for a multinational corporation that runs out of 22 different countries, involved in hiring equipment for heavy construction. It is not quite as groovy as it sounds. I usually spend a lot of time cleaning concrete spatter off gear and doing other bits and pieces involving rattle guns and rejuvenations of bucket equipment and chucking things in scrap metal and counting things to make sure that we actually got back what we hired out. So anyways, I've been at that joint since basically March. It's a company that's a bit funny with some things. It takes a very long time to put people permanent. 18 months of being there before you go permanent, I'm not joking. And, well, I don't know if I'll ever go permanent, to be quite honest. Sort of interesting. I sort of look at what I'm doing at work and that, but you know, I'm on to about my third sidekick. Like, I get people who, this is strange, who actually work under me, and some of them are good, some of them aren't. Some of them couldn't be buggered to turn up on time, or decide they want to have a lot of Fridays off and out the door. And you know, I was getting to a point there thinking, bloody hell, I could leave this joint and become, you know, a minor supervisor or something like that. I've spent a lot of the year. It's an interesting company in the fact that there are only a few Aussies there. You've got people from all over the place, and particular friend, I sort of, you know, got to be friendly with a workmate. I haven't kept in contact with him, but he always used to be springing business ideas all the time. You know, and I've listened to a few of these ideas, and I've had a few thoughts and whatnot, and I've been reading a bloody lot of books that you can't really see with a frickin' potato cam. That's not the only one. I've got a whole friggin' drawer of business books. And, you know, I've sort of, yeah, realised a few opportunities and stuff like that. And we may do something in the coming year. I've sort of also picked up on a foreign language as well. And it's not French that I was once learning and lost most of. It's not Spanish, which I should continue to learn. But it's another one which is a form of Pidgin English, and once you hear it you won't understand a bloody word, but I can just about speak it fluently. So, and it's so crackers that I can actually get Trump one-liner statements and translate and then write it up in the foreign language. It's only a form of Pidgin English, and you may think, oh, well, that's, you know, you may have seen Nigerian Pidgin English. Nigerian Pidgin English isn't frickin' Pidgin English from where I'm standing. You know, when you get stuff that the average English speaker can't understand worth a shit, but it's supposed to be English, well then it's probably a serious version of Pidgin English. The one I've learned is basically the one for the Solomon Islands, which is only a hair's breadth difference from the one used in Vanuatu. And I'll be honest and say, in Vanuatu, at least the accent isn't too bad. In the Solomon Islands, holy smoke. The accent's half the problem, and then you've got to translate after that. Because, strange, you know, no gender things, you know, there's no him, her, or it, it's just everything's a him. There's no plurals. And half the descriptive words, the short 2-letter, 4-letter words, they're thrown out, the majority of them, and minimised them to such a point that it becomes quite hard. And then they throw in a few native words, and then the word order has to work with this very, very limited descriptive word vocabulary, which honestly, you know, they get about, well, we would have about 15 to 20 words and go down to 4 or 6 words to, and then you've got to sort of, you know, sentences can become very long as a result. But yeah, I've spotted a few opportunities, and I may talk about those in the future, and if I go through with some of these there'll be a bit of work ahead, but at least I'll be building something for my future, unlike some of these other characters which ain't building much for the future. It's sort of interesting to disappear for a year and come back, and I've seen old El Bus, and holy cow, when I left, he's whinging about his teeth. If everybody could just pitch in $5, I'd come back. He's whinging about his teeth. If everybody could just chip in $20. Bloody hell. Freaking out a time warp moment, you know, it's like deja vu. What have they done? Where have they gone? I know one thing they've done, and that is freaking hit something with the front of that van. You know. And I look at another character there, he's sort of they talk a lot in some of these books, especially Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad, about liabilities and assets, you know. One character there's had a liability a couple of inches big that's created another liability that's now 2 foot tall, while he's losing his assets. And of course there's an empire of lies to sort of patch up what's really going on with this loss of assets. And like I always said, until you can show the bloody title document from the government, you don't own it. And, you know, the bank owns it, or it's sort of somewhere in that grey area of partial ownership or something, you know. And, yeah, that's all I'll say about that. But anyway, as much as I've had a major setback, I've managed to save a bit in this job, and it's quite a chance that I'm going to eventually get sort of pretty tired of this, you know. When I was at the paint warehouse, I was making more money, and all I had to do was just drive around in circles with a scanner and put paint tins on a pallet. That was it. I'm getting less money here, and I'm supposed to supervise people on occasion and do other things that are a fair bit more complicated, which I don't mind, you know, but it's one of these joints that, you know, there's a lot of people who are walking out the door if they can find something better, and I'm talking to somebody else who's been in another industry who says that industry is easy to get into, and my pay might jump, not quite $10 an hour, but it might be $6 or $8 an hour more, and no heavy lifting. So we'll see. Sometime next year I might be changing to a more inside job, not really paperwork, but not sort of lifting heavy shit in hot weather. So yeah, anyway, we've done fairly well with these plums. I think I've got to check another tree. I think that's stripped it bare. Just show you what I got today. Bada bing. That's a whole. That's like the last 5 minutes of picking. Just the big one out here. Where's the cat? Hey, kitty. Here's our famous. What's it doing, buddy? Yes. If I call her name, she always meows to me now. Got the big fig. It's bloody sheep are eating the bottom of the bloomin' fig tree over there. You couldn't make this crap up, honestly. They eat all the bottom of the plum tree. All the tops are right. The bottom, they eat all the leaves off it. Doing the same with me figs. So, I ain't got many figs because the birds keep flaming hoeing into them, I think. But anyway, I've got a second flush of them starting to come out. Evaporative cooler experimentation that actually worked fairly well. Peltier fridge experimentation. There's a heat sink sitting there. That's quite interesting. I still haven't followed through to a full-blown one, but I got sick of stuffing around with them. I got a few that were duds and blew up very quickly and things like that. Or at least one was, and the other one I've sort of, you know, yeah, put too many bolts through it and blew the shit out of the first one, and the second one had a broken wire or something and died within bloody 10 minutes of use, which is unbelievable. It's, I've got a bit more of an extensive solar system for the fridge as well. Got this one here, and I've actually got another one on the other side of the house on that roof on that side. I've ripped out a bunch of trees there too. There's quite a number of trees that have come out, and I've spent the day chopping up. And lo and behold, I've got another one growing. But we are not going to be short of firewood, and there's a chance, I don't know, if I could really be bothered. I mean, it's not really hurting anyone, but one day I've got to do it. I might be changing the toilet system and putting a toilet in here as opposed to going out there in the rain. Not that it's raining this year. Well, not now. We're having a cooler summer than usual, but yeah, it'd be nice to have one where I never need to go in the rain, even during winter, to get to it. And honestly, it needs a hell of an upgrade, and it's only about, well, it can cost me about $2,000-3,000, so I might just do that. I won't have to e-beg for $2,000 or $3,000 and wail on, and then finally get a couple $100 for a bad tooth or anything, you know. I've got enough money in my pocket. Lemon-scented verbena is going quite big. I've had those a couple of years now. Yeah, got a, well, you can't really see it. I've got a different fridge now too. So, aside from that, not a huge heap of stuff. I've gone and got myself a rather overpriced, it's not actually a bug zapper. I didn't want to put a zapper onto the, what's his name? Onto the solar system. So what it is, it's a UV light with a fan and like a bloomin', little mesh cage thing underneath, and that yeah, that costs $115. I could frickin' barely believe the price of it. Quite honestly, I could have probably built something better myself, but you know, there's some times where you couldn't be buggered to build stuff because you got the money just to go and buy the proper thing that just works. And that's stopped a lot of my mosquito problems. And going to be gangbusters on the citronella coils. Friggin' laptop. That is a god-awful piece of shit, that thing. Bloody keyboard's starting to come to bits on it, as you can see. Although the keyboard was failing last time I was talking to you guys, and now I decided to go one better and punch the freaking screen. So she's going downhill very fast, and the bastard's still trying to do every update and fuck me around like crazy. And as you can imagine, with a screen like that, I have a hell of a job reading things, or even seeing what the hell I'm clicking on when I'm online. And you know, I have just sworn off Windows because holy frickin' cow, it's like a car company coming back to you every week and wanting to frickin' change part of your damn engine while you're ready to go to work in the morning and you need to get to work on time. What is it with these idiots in the updates? I've got it turned off, but it still gives me updates. It still fucks me around. And you know what? I really think Microsoft has lost touch with the common man on the street. I mean, they're such a big bloody boggled-ass corporation. And apparently the word is, from some of these business coaches inside the business community, that Microsoft is just running like a dog to catch up and try and compete with everything Apple's doing. They're just playing copycat, they're playing catch up with Apple. And while I'm not going and getting an Apple, I am probably going to move to Andromeda. Because honestly, I don't get any shit from Android, and I deal with this frickin' heap of crap. And I'll tell you what, like, as far as I'm concerned, Microsoft, that's the end of the line between me and Windows, and that's all there is to it. So I know the Chromebooks aren't a great deal cheaper, but you know, at this point, I'm after something that's a great deal less bullshit, and I'm probably going to go and rehook that up to this crappy little flat screen TV with a bucket audio, because it's got a HDMI plug and I can still see the screen properly with the HDMI plug. But I think that'll be something that's just used for the occasional download, and that'll step into the background, and I'll get a Chromebook. But that's another mucking around and a bit more money. But yeah, these things will all happen in due course, and that one might be happening before before some of the others, because holy smoke, it's getting hard to deal with the bloody thing. But anyway, I think that pretty much rounds it all up. And yeah,